Good evening, family. Luke 23, the 34th verse. Then Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. At this point, Jesus is on the cross. The full weight of his body is on his hands as he's sagging down. Excruciating pain shoots along his fingers and up his arms, exploding into his brain. To avoid this stretching torment on the median nerves, he pushes himself upward and applies all the weight on the nails in the bones in his feet. And just as he feels the agony of the nerves tearing in his feet, due to the fatigue, cramps sweep through his muscles, knotting them in deep, relentless, throbbing pain. He loses the ability to push upward to breathe. Carbon dioxide is starting to build up in his lungs and in his bloodstreams. The cramp will not subside. He struggles to lift himself to exhale and bring in life-giving oxygen. Asphyxiation starts to set in. After cycles of twisting, wrenching, joint twisting, wrenching movements, searing pain comes as tissue is torn from his lacerated back by that old rugged cross, everybody. Right before he speaks, a deep crushing pain is developing in his chest. The pericardium is slowly filling with serum that's compressing his heart. The tissue is now at a critical level, at a very critical low. His heart is struggling to pump the thick, sluggish blood into the tissue. Jesus gasps and gulps in one bit of air, and he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And what is this? He's dying on the cross and prays the perfect prayer. He intercedes for you and me. And this reveals about Jesus first, his humanity. And in the humanity of Christ, we see up until this point that Jesus Christ has forgiven sin. They brought a man sick of the palsy to him lying on a bed. And Jesus, seeing their faith, he said to the man sick of the palsy, Son, be of good cheer. Thy sins are forgiven thee. Luke also recorded over in the 37th verse, the 7th chapter in the 37th verse, the woman with the alabaster box. She was full of sin, but yet she shedded tears. She cried and washed the feet of Jesus, and she began to dry with her hair. And then we move on down to verse 48, where Jesus said to her, Thy sins are forgiven thee, Lord God. And then the scribes begin in Mark 2 and 7 to say in their hearts, Why does this man speak blasphemies? Who can forgive sin but God only? Well, the word tells us in John 1 and 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This tells us that Jesus Christ is fully God. And verse 14 says, and he became flesh and dwelled among us. This lets us know that Jesus Christ also is fully man. Now God is a spirit, and Jesus Christ is the body that was formed. It was his divine right to forgive sin. But in this case, he was on the cross as a representative of humanity. Jesus stayed in his lane. He did not exercise the power of the Godhead. He was not there for the angels, and God needed no redemption. He was there for you, Kelly. He was there for you, Shante. He was there for you, preacher, and he was there for me. The next thing revealed about Christ is the humility of Christ. And my pericope says in 1 Peter 2, 18 through 25, that these scriptures are about submission in business. But I'm here to tell you that Jesus Christ was on the job. Because over in the book of Luke 2 and 49, he said to his earthly parents, Why is it that you sought me? Did you not know that I must be about my Father's business? 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 18 says, Servants, be subjective to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but to the forward, to the harsh. Jesus Christ, he did good, and he suffered for it. He took it patiently. This was commendable before God. He humbled himself for our example. He committed no sin. Neither was guile found in his mouth. When he was reviled, did not revile in return. When he suffered, he did not threaten, but committed himself to him that judges righteously. That is the humanity and the humility. And the final thing that it raises is the honesty of Christ. The third illumination is the honesty of Christ. John 1:1 also lets us know that he was there in the beginning. And even over in Job 26:7 says that when he stretched out the north over an empty place and hung the earth upon nothing. Lord God. He also revealed, John 6:64 says, but there are some of you that believe not. For Jesus knows then and now who you are. And he knew who believed him not and who would betray him. And he also revealed in verse 38, for I came down from heaven not to do my will, but the will of him that sent me. Now the Father knew that Jesus was trustworthy because they had been in relationship and in fellowship. He couldn't send Adam because over in Genesis 3:12, he just blamed Eve. He couldn't send Eve because she just shifted it off on the devil. But since he was there in the beginning, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the one who remembered us in our lowly state, for his mercy endures forever and through all generations. He knew we would fail. He knew some of us would quit. He knew somebody would betray him. But in the end, at a place on the cross, his integrity stayed intact. And he continued about his Father's business when he said, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do.